Does the president have legitimate privilege grounds to keep private conversations with foreign leaders just that, private? Joining me to debate is John Yoo, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General under George W. Bush, and David Katz, former Assistant U.S. Attorney. All right, John, how much damage does it do if an American president cannot keep conversations like this privileged?
Allowing people like Congress to overcome, or the courts to overcome executive privilege would really strike a dagger in the heart of the American presidency. This is a power which presidents from George Washington on have claimed and used. And the Supreme Court said in 1973, 1974, that the very height of executive privilege would be when presidents need to protect diplomatic, national security, military and law enforcement information. This isn't just some minor use of executive privilege so that the president can tell jokes and kick things around with his advisors. This is what the courts and presidents have said is the very height of executive power and executive privilege, is protecting the president's ability to communicate and discuss with foreign nations and the president's advisors our most important foreign policy secrets. There is no justification which Congress or another branch can throw up which would allow, according to the Supreme Court, allow for the overcoming of this privilege in this kind of case.
David, I was watching an old YouTuber on the Obama administration. Jay Carney, who is the press secretary for President Obama, was being pummeled by the press for his having exercised executive privilege in the Benghazi case, with, remember, Eric Holder not wanting to turn over certain documents. And this is how he explained it. Let's watch.
What is being, the documents over which privilege is being asserted are internal executive branch documents that have to do with response to congressional inquiries, response to media inquiries. Those kinds of deliberations have been protected under privilege as a matter of the separation of powers enshrined in the Constitution by administrations of both parties dating back 30 years.
So they were fine with executive privilege as long as they were claiming it, right, Dave?
Well, I'm an admirer of Adam Schiff. He's the head of the House Intelligence Committee. I think he's being nudged to try to subpoena either the notes or the testimony from this translator. And I don't think that that's a wise place to start. I think that John has a point that, of course, there is executive privilege, and it is strongest, according to the United States versus Nixon case, unanimous. It is strong. It's not absolute, but it's strongest in the area of just what happened with this translator. So I think the committee would be smarter to start with a whole bunch of other areas like the Cohn inquiry, like some other inquiries. And then for the meeting, let's say the one in Europe in 2017, I think ex-Secretary of State Tillerson was there. So why not start with Tillerson and ask him what happened during that meeting and go from there? I don't think it's wise in the end to keep trying to subpoena, if that's what they're trying to do, this translator.
End up at the court.
She works for the State Department.
Yeah.
And it's picking a fight with the State Department, and it's picking a fight. Yeah. It doesn't seem to me like a wise first step to make a potential misstep. To make a misstep.
I got it. But John, they're going to try to call members of the Trump inner circle to Capitol Hill, correct? To the House. Really, really briefly, will the president's team be able to successfully assert privilege to prevent them from testifying on Capitol Hill? We're talking maybe someone in the old White House counsel's office, current White House counsel, old, maybe Reince Priebus, Don McGahn, those types. Will executive privilege cover that?
I think executive privilege would cover it. I think if Congress misuses its legislative oversight authority to try to force White House counsels, Reince Priebus, chiefs of staff to testify, they're going to lose. The Supreme Court and the federal courts are not going to help Congress try to pry secrets out of the president.
All right, guys, thanks so much. Big conversation. We're going to be hitting all of these issues in the weeks and months to come.